You might be all wondering, what is Graffiti Turtle doing now? He's got his motorcycle torn apart again. Gas tank is off. Side fairing's off. Got the coolant reservoir pulled up. Well, I got this little guy right here, a Healtech Speedo Healer, because my bike is geared and all bikes are off a little bit anyways. So what I'm going to be doing today is installing this bad boy onto this. Now the problem is, you try and find out how to do it or whatever, you read the instructions and it's for a ZX6RR or an older model or a newer model, but they don't make a harness for 05, 06, 636. Says, you guys can read that, ZX6R 98 2004 and 2007 to 2010, ZX6RR 2004, 2003 and 2004, no ZX6R or RR for 2005, 2006. So you have this harness here. This harness right here. This is what is supposed to plug in to your speedo sensor of your bike. Now then, come with me and take a look at this. This is the harness for the speedo sensor on this bike. Not even close, right? Well, I figured I'd do this because I'm looking up on YouTube and Google, and I mean it's on forums and stuff, but I haven't found a video of it on how to install a Speedo Healer on a 05, 06, 636. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for y'all. So next time you search for a video, maybe you can find one. Alright, so basically first things first, you're going to have to do it whether you have a 636 or not, is at least lift up the tank. If you remove it, it gives you a lot more room to work with. And this one, I don't think I needed to remove the side fairing, but if it's not 636 or like a newer model, 07, 09 or whatever, it's right here where the front sprocket is. But on this one, as we're looking front of the bike here, the coolant reservoir would normally be tucked in down here, sort of like this. So you're gonna have to take that out, move it over, and then right there is the speedo gear, or the speedo sensor, and the wire runs through right there and connects onto that. But once you find where the speedo sensor plug is, you're gonna unplug it just to verify that that's the right one. Turn the bike on and spin the tire, and see how it doesn't move. You plug it back in real quick here. Plug back in. Yeah, the speedometer moves when you spin the tire. Alright, now's the fun part. It's the part where you get to solder your wires, and where you get to clip some wires on your harness. Basically, you're going to want to run this wire out through so you can get it hanging over the frame like so, and then pull the electrical tape on the harness, on the main harness, back far enough so that you can get a good cut with room to play. I'm probably going to cut it about 2 inches back here. About that far. Cut it. And strip it. I'm going to show you guys the first solder, just to like if you've never soldered before. I'm not expert solderer. Half the time I just use a lighter. I did go out and buy a little cheap soldering iron today and some heat shrink, because you're going to want to use heat shrink on your solders. So that the yellow wire, then you're going to cut this harness off of the connector off of the Speedo Healer harness. Twist the wires, and then twist the wires like so. Now that the wires are twisted, yellow goes to green. The green wire goes to the yellow wire on the harness side. Once you clip it, you're going to have two different sides. You have the connector side, this wire, and then the harness side, this wire. So green goes to yellow harness side. Alright, so basically you're just going to be heating up your wire so it gets hot enough to melt the solder into. Alright, that one's soldered. Not pulling apart. Pull your heat shrink over the solder and shrink it down. Boo, 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 boo. Alright, it's one wire. Alright, so that's how you solder it. I'll go ahead and do the rest of them and show you the wires that they connect to when I'm done. Okay, so before I electrical tape this all up and clean it up a little bit, this is what we have after everything's soldered. The pink wire on the harness from the bike, the pink wire, the red wire goes to that. Now you can either do one of two things here. You can strip a middle section out of the pink wire and just solder the red wire to it. The only problem with that is the only way you're going to get heat shrink on there is cut the heat shrink in half and wrap it around it and then shrink it. Not 100%, I guess, like waterproof, I guess. Well, it's not 100% anyway, but it's going to leave a gap in there. It's not going to be as secure or protected as if you were to do the second method, which is cut the pink wire in half, solder it back together, and then solder the red wire into it. Or cut the pink wire in half and twist the red and pink wire together on one side and then solder the pink wire back to the two wires. And that's what I did. So, but anyways, so you have the green wire from the Speedo Healer harness going to the yellow wire. on the harness side. Then you have the white wire of the Speedo Healer harness going to the yellow wire on the connector side. Then you have the red wire of the Speedo Healer harness going to the pink wire of the connector harness, the motorcycle harness. And then that only leaves one wire, and so the black wire from the Speedo Healer going to the black and yellow wire from the motorcycle harness. And that's everything for soldering, wiring right there. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, throw some electrical tape around it to keep it all secure and bunched up, and go from there. Alright, so now the wiring is plugged back in down there, right here. You can see that. I got it all electrical taped up so it's not loose wires hanging all over. And the way I'm going to run it is just up. This is the Speedo Healer wire. I'm just going to run it up and zip tie it along this main wiring harness for the bike, up underneath this bar, like that the gas tank mounts on, and sit it right back in here where the exhaust, like the servo for the exhaust or whatever would normally be. And that's where I'm going to put it. But make sure you plugged it in right and everything. Just turn the bike on, and you see it powers. Doesn't have any settings right now. There's setting A. So anyways, so that's how you know that you got the wiring right. It's got power to it, settings and all that. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish wiring this and putting it where I want it to be, just right up in here like so, and get the bike back together. There is one more part to the that comes with the Speedo Healer, and that is this right here, this little red button here. That's like a speed recall, or your recall button. So say you're on the track and you want to know what your high speed was on the track that day. That's just wherever you want to put that button, basically. You want to put it up by your controls up here somewhere, or up here, whatever. You want to keep it back down in here somewhere. I mean, whatever. It's just wherever you want to put it. But that just plugs into the main unit of the Speedo Healer, and click that button and it recalls your top speed. So anyways, I'm going to put the bike back together right now, and then hopefully at some point in time today go and calibrate this thing.